to ANI 150. This is Lauren Kimball, and we are going to finish the third tutorial on modeling the little details for our crate. Before we had created little hinges, these little side bits. I mean, I suppose I could do a front clasp, but it's a futuristic crate. Maybe it's a futuristic crate that doesn't require any sort of, I don't know, mechanism. Maybe it's one of those crates that require a scanner in which to open or a key fob. I don't know. I just don't feel like modeling something that I can't see necessarily, and I don't want to necessarily spend the time coming up with a concept for it. So I'm just going to chalk it up to the future as to why I'm not going to model a latch on the front. But I am going to go ahead and model these handles. First, I'm going to go over here and grab this, this, and this. And these three, I can go ahead and delete their history and then stick them in their own layer. So I'll pull out the details layer. Right? And now I've got to worry about this handle. Now for me personally, my default to do would be to go in and this is a technique you'll learn much later down the road. And that's basically creating a NURBS curve in the shape of my handle, attaching a polygon and then lofting it along the curve. So what all of that means is later you're going to learn a cooler technique than this. So, but I want to try to keep this as simple as possible. So for now, I'm going to approach this using just primitives. So I think this is already, oh wait, that's just that 1/4 bit. I'm going to take the crate as a whole and just tuck it away because I don't want to focus on it or worry about it. So I'll just call that crate and hide it. I'm going to go ahead and show my grid. Wow, that grid is, whew, it's noisy when it's got so many divisions. And I'm going to look at this. It looks like, if I, based on the picture, it's basically made up of one pipe, kind of a one pipe-ish type cylinder shape that connects to another cylinder, which connects to another cylinder, and then repeats itself on the other side. So right off the cuff, I'm thinking mirroring. The other thing I'm thinking is breaking this into 3 different cylinders. So I'm going to create a cylinder, and because this is low poly, I'm going to go with, like, say, about 8 subdivisions. Remember, I can always smooth this for the high poly later. And I'm going to go ahead and, turn on my step snap, the all-important step snap. Here we go. All right, looking good. Maybe narrow this down, spread it up a little bit. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the side view, go to faces, so select my mesh, go to faces, and I'm going to grab all the faces that make up my caps on either end of the cylinder. Go back to object mode, F8, and I'm going to go ahead and my mouse was stuck. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and move it upward. All right, according to this, it looks like, I think what I'm going to do first is press the D key, which when I select the W key, if I press D, it's going to snap this pivot. And see this little pointed corner up here? I'm going to hold down V and just snap that up there, okay? And then go back to what I was doing, which was manipulating these with the rotate tool. So I'm back in object mode. I've selected a new place for my pivot point, and I'm just gonna move this up, and it looks like it goes in a little bit. I don't know if that's up enough. It's a little hard to tell from the picture. Maybe up a little more? Maybe not. Okay. And it's definitely going inward. So another thing I could do is maybe change this pivot point by going to the Move tool and the D and holding down V and snapping this over here, and then going back to my Rotate tool. And then snap, snap, snap? Is that about right? Looks like it's going maybe up at a little bit more of a significant angle. that's about right. That looks kind of correct. Alright, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to move it over. I'm going to go ahead and change its rotation values back to 0, and rotate this way. Move it up. I could snap this over here to maybe this cylinder over there by holding down the V key. Maybe move it over to the side a little. Yeah. Looks about right. It's just using the incremental rotating tool, so when we go in here, you're able to move in increments with step snap, and of course changing your pivot point so that you can move things around different centers of the mesh. Alright, so now that I've got that kind of general shape going, I'm going to go right click, grab my edge. Well, first I'm going to want to grab all 3 of these and combine them. So I'm going to select all 3, shift right click, and combine. Now Maya sees them all as one mesh. I'm then going to go into my edge mode and select this edge and this edge, the 2 adjacent edges that aren't connected yet. Shift right click, and I'm going to bridge. And I'm going to do that over here. And bridge. A little bit of a twist there in the handle. I could probably grab these vertices and rotate this just a little so that it's not so twisted. That looks good. Alright. Now, next I'm going to want to mirror this so that we have, both sides of the handle. To mirror, I'm going to have to select the object, and we're going to do something a little bit different than before, because prior, when we were mirroring the different pieces of the crate, we were relying on the grid. Clearly, this thing is not centered on that grid by any means. So we're going to ask to duplicate this thing based on its own pivot points. And how we need to do that is once we have combined everything and bridged it, I'm going to go ahead and delete my history and all that good stuff. I'm going to grab my center pivot with the move tool, press D, and I'm gonna snap it up here so that it's the center pivot's touching right there at the edge of the handle. Okay, and that's going to create kind of a new center graph, for lack of a better term. We're going to ask the mirror tool to mirror on the pivot point instead of mirroring on the grass. And how we do that is we're going to shift right click. Ooh, sorry, accidentally clicked the wrong thing. Shift right click, and I'm going to go to my mirror tool. I'm going to go ahead and reset the settings. Always when I use the mirror tool, and this is just my preference, I don't like any tool being able to cut my geometry or mess with my geometry in any significant way, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to ask for a copy. I'm going to ask that it mirrors on the object, and it looks like it's still going to mirror on the x-axis, so go ahead and keep that the same. It can combine with the original, but I do not want it to merge, so do not merge, and apply. And there we have it. We've got the handle duplicated. Now, like before, I don't like it when the tool gets to merge the vertices. I want to do it. So I'm going to go into vertice mode, grab those vertices, shift right click, merge vertices. And then I'm going to grab this edge, which when I double click it should grab the whole edge loop, shift right click, and delete that edge. And now we've got this really convincing looking handle, which is, I think, pretty similar to the concept art. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and open the crate, and this thing really needs to be scaled down quite a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and position it. Press F so I can get as close to it as possible. That actually worked out really nice. It's pretty similar in its positioning. It's not perfect, like I could definitely position this a little bit closer. So if I really want to do that, like let's say I didn't model it this well and the handle's way off to the right, I think what I'm going to do is press down X so that I can snap this to the center of the grid. That way it's the same on both sides. I could go in and add a new edge loop. So I'm going to go Insert Edge Loop tool. I'm only going to insert one. And go ahead and just F8, grab those faces and delete so that we can, whoops, didn't work, face, nope, this face, thank you. That way we can, it's not doing my bidding. Come on. Face. Boom. Alright. That way we can position it on this side to match the other side. So perhaps what I'll do is I'll grab all of these by their vertices and just push this over so it's a little bit more aligned with how I'd want it to be in the picture. Yeah. And if I want, I could maybe expand the handle out this way a little, give it a little bit more length. Alright, gonna go back to F8. The pivot point's no longer centered the way it should. That's no good. So I'm going to press D and V and snap this. So, whoa, what just happened? Did I just never merge those vertices or something? Maybe. Let's go back in time. Go to vertices, select all these vertices, merge? No, I merged them. That's weird. I don't know what was happening there. Let's go to Control 1 and isolate this. Go to, actually I'm kind of glad it didn't work, because if I want this to mirror perfectly on the other side, I'm going to have to use the scene as opposed to the object. So that was actually kind of a blessing. I'm going to go ahead and snap this to the grid, the vertices of the handle to the grid. Press Control 8, Control 1 to get out of that. Shift right click, mirror. This time I'm going to ask it to mirror on the world, and I still want the x-axis on the positive, and apply. There we go. That looks great. Go ahead and I can center pivot, delete history, freeze transformations. Alright, so now I got to make sure that everything that I have before I go through moving on to the UV mapping, and then later, caging and getting the high-res model ready to go, is I got to make sure that what I have here is enough. Like I am staying within my polygon limits. So I'm going to go ahead and reveal the details, and I'm going to go ahead and save this because it was a significant change. And I'll call this handle. And what I want to do is make sure that I'm staying under my 800 faces. So right now it says 528. So I'm going to just grab this handle and duplicate it by pressing Control D and moving it over. And now it says I have 661 faces in my scene. Alright, so this has to be duplicated not once, not twice, but 3 times. So 1, move it up, 2, 3. So now we've got 4 of those, and that's moved our scene up to 694. I need 4 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Now we're at 742. That's getting really close. Duplicate this. Duplicate it one more time. 794. Whew, that was close. So I'm just 6 faces under the limit. But that's okay. The important thing to know from that is that we are staying within our limits. So I'm going to undo all of that. That was just to make sure that I was keeping within my polygon limit. And we're going to move on from here to laying out UVs and then duplicating all these pieces so that they actually look right. I'm going to press save, and we'll pick up in the next video.